Let us for a few moments focus our mind on the Divine Master and pray for the well-being of the whole humanity. Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate, who showed us how to love God, who showed us the spiritual path to the vision of God. He impressed upon us to fix the goal of life as the realization of God. And Sri Ramakrishna came and he practiced all the spiritual paths leading to the same goal. Each one is good. One can follow any path, but we should know properly and be sincere and serious about practicing spirituality in our life. Sri Ramakrishna, in the course of his spiritual talks, said that where exactly God resides, what is the location of the Paramatman? It is true, God is present everywhere. But how to locate Him? Then only we can fix the target and put all our efforts to reach that target. Sri Ramakrishna tells that Paramatman is ever shining in our innermost heart. He is in our own heart. He is to be found out within. There is Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, and there is Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. Kosha means sheath. Then finally comes Anandamaya Kosha. That's also sheath. That's also a veil. Behind that Anandamaya Kosha is that Supreme Paramatman, which is infinite bliss. When once the mind reaches that greatest cause, it is called Mahakaran, one gets into Samadhi. That is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Ordinarily, the mind runs between the gross and subtle body. For most of us, it always is active in the gross condition. It doesn't even go beyond that. But for some people, it goes beyond the gross state. It enters into subtle state, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. And in some cases, it goes to Anandamaya Kosha. And in very few cases, it goes to the source. Once we reach that highest state, mind merges in the Paramatma. Then it is a state of perpetual bliss. Nothing more to be achieved after. Everything is God. The secret is completely revealed in that highest state. So, the path of knowledge takes us step by step. We must analyze and then we must go. We must cross the different states. What we generally think, what is our real personality? Body, mind, intellect and ego all put together is considered a real personality. That's what we think. But behind the mind, behind the body, behind the intellect, behind the ego, there is something else which is non-changing, non-moving. The moment we know that that is our real personality, that all other things of the world are subject to change and destruction, we have to leave the realm of body, mind and intellect and go to the source, the witness, the perceiver within. The difficulty is that people do not have knowledge as to what is the perceiver and what is the perceived. Although the mind and the body function, behind the mind and body there is something that supplies the power to them. That is the real perceiver. When anything happens to our body and mind, we think we are suffering. The idea, I am sick, I am blind, I am hurt, I am unhappy. All these are born out of our identification with body and mind. We are totally identified with that, so we suffer. When my body is sick, I should make an inquiry as to who is sick. Am I sick? No. The body is sick. Am I the body? No. I am not the body. I am not the body. The body is mine. I am that which is the life behind the body, the possessor of the body, the perceiver within the body. Thus we should analyze and we have to trace it within ourselves. So all the actions we do are performed with the understanding that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. As long as this way of understanding remains, we are not going to come to a state where they can put a stop to these actions and attain liberation. As long as we are identified with this body-mind mechanism, we are bound by actions. When these three equipments, namely body, mind and intellect, are themselves subject to change, and when all the things they come in contact with also are subject to change, how can we have peace that is non-changing if we identify ourselves with these equipments? One day or other, we must be able to dissociate ourselves with this body, mind, intellect and ego. The purpose of spiritual practice is to disidentify ourselves. Shankaracharya refers to this constantly recurring misunderstanding of mankind in the very opening state of his Brahma Sutra, Bhashya. He says, what is the real I in you and what is objective to you? You think the world is objective and the subjective I is your body and mind. But the body, mind and intellect are as subjective to you, the real I, the real personality in you, as the world outside. Locate that personality and know it. When you know it, that being non-changing and permanent, you will remain there unaffected by the pleasures and pains that the world may offer you. You are no more cheated, you are no more shaken by sukha and dukkha of the world. Without knowing this, we think we are the body, mind, etc. When the very thing which is having pleasure or pain, that is the body, mind, are subject to change and are perishable, how can we have non-changing bliss? Lord Krishna deals with this ignorance in us. He said, Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. The meaning is, all actions are done by the modes of nature. But one who is deluded by egotism thinks, I am the doer. I have done this. I am responsible for this. It is I who did it. He takes so much pleasure in asserting himself, in identifying himself with the things. If anybody tells contrary to that, he becomes terribly angry. Suppose we take the burden of another on ourselves, we feel worried over it. Similarly, good and bad actions are worked out by the qualities of nature, but a deluded person imagines that he is the doer. The real I, the witness, is the inner personality, real I. It can never associate itself with the body, mind and intellect. What I said in the earlier, Mahakaran, great cause. But one in his ignorance has a feeling as though it is associating with body, mind and intellect, and so works in the world with this basic misunderstanding. All people in the world act because in their body, mind and intellect there are three gunas operating, namely sattva, rajas and tamas. These gunas do not and cannot operate in the witness, the perceiver, the spirit within, which is pure consciousness, unpolluted, untouched, untainted. The effect of the three gunas in the body, mind and intellect takes the form of terrible attachment. The interaction of the gunas leads us to attachment. Attachment to worldly things, including the body, mind and intellect. Whenever you have success or failure in your worldly dealing, you will be affected by joy and sorrow. You will be tossed about by success and failure, and the world will play with your emotions as a monkey keeper plays with his monkey. As long as these three gunas remain in us, as long as we are under the influence of these three, sattva, rajas and tamas, we will suffer. Even sattva guna binds us. The difference in the three gunas is their attachment to different things. A tamasic person is attached excessively to his body. Morning to night he is fully concentrated on the upkeeping of his body. He lives only to satisfy his bodily passions and desires. Such a person is caught up in sleep, sloth and laziness. A rajasic person, he is attached to his body and mind. He is always engaged in feverish activity because he thinks by these activities he can gain worldly benefits and derive joy from them. Thus, he is chained down by his own activities. A sattvic person is attached to his intellect more than to his body or mind. He is caught up by his attachment to his intellectual accomplishments. But the truth is, attachment is attachment. He derives joy from reading books on philosophy and the higher sciences of life and analyzing about them, discussing about them, debating about the points. The sattvic person is as much bound as a rajasic or tamasic one. But you won't get real joy as long as you are under the influence of these three gunas, either sattva or rajas or tamas. So one must transcend even his sattva guna if he aims at liberation. So that is why Vedanta says very clearly, read the scriptures, understand them, and then actualize what you have read by practicing sadhana. Not much of intellectual eminence is required for attaining liberation. Just the knowledge that there is a non-decaying, undying principle in us which is not affected by pleasure or pain, and which is of the nature of pure consciousness, pure bliss, it is enough for many people of ordinary intellect to turn inwards and realize the soul. You might have studied all the holy scriptures, still you would be as much disgruntled and discontented as any other man of the world who has not even heard of the holy scriptures, if you remain in theory itself without practicing it. So precept and practice must go together. Sri Ramakrishna has shown through his life that whatever he has spoken, himself has practiced it. All his teachings are the experience he got through his realization. So thus operated by these gunas, one identifies oneself with the body, mind and intellect. This ignorance which makes him think that his real personality, the real I, is associating itself with his body, mind and intellect, keeps him bound in the unreal things of the world. So this ignorance creates in him the egoistic ahankar. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. And he takes the pride, I did this and I did that. This is mine and that is mine, etc. So thus constantly harping on what all he has done and what all he possesses, he meets his end. That means death. So Lord Krishna says further, Tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartanta iti gatva na sajjate. Those who know the truth that the dispositions of nature and the actions springing from them are distinct from the Atman do not get attached, understanding that it is not the Atman but the dispositions of nature as organs that settle on the respective objects, which too are products of the same dispositions. So who is the knower of truth? It is he who knows that the non-changing principle underlying the changing phenomena of the external world and the principle underlying the changing phenomena of his body, mind and intellect are one and the same. Such a person is called Tattvajnani. Having come to know that there is such a non-changing principle in himself, he must leave the ever-changing realms of body, mind and intellect and remain aloof in the inner personality. He knows that the gunas operate in the body, mind, intellect realm and that he is beyond them, that they do not affect his real personality in the least. So having this detached attitude, he is not bound by the actions of his body, mind and intellect. In the course of his dealings in the world, he may have to display all sorts of emotions and reactions. He may even have to fight with the people. But in all this, though he puts on a mask of anger, inwardly he is serene. Even when he is acting, he stands apart and looks at his own actions as ordinary people look at others' actions. It is possible for you to develop this attitude and frame of mind. In Karma Yoga, you cultivate samabhav and do not let the world react on you. But when you develop witness attitude, there is no question of the world reacting on you at all, because you are entirely away from the realm of body, mind and intellect where the world can react. You are just observing, not taking part in the worldly dealings of the body, mind and intellect. What happens if you are not able to keep yourself apart? People who are deluded by the gunas of nature attach themselves to the actions that those gunas prompt. Nevertheless, the knower of truth should not unsettle the minds of the ignorant. They should be gradually made to realize their folly. People who are not able to dissociate their true personality from the body, mind, intellect realm and to stand apart and witness their own actions become attached to their actions, which are actually born out of their gunas. So they are caught by sukha and dukkha, resulting from the success or failure of their actions. So the knower of truth, the person who has realized God, knows all the secrets concerning the perceiver and the perceived. He knows that his body, mind, and intellect are as objective to him as the world. But he should not unsettle the others who have not come to this stage. He should only point out that excessive attachment to the world causes all problems and frustrations. So we should learn to be non-attached and be a witness to everything in the outside world as well as to anything that emanates out of our body, mind and intellect. So we should work as a karma yogi and cultivate equanimity. Lord Krishna says then the technique of doing duties in this world by which one will be able to free from the bondage. Lord Krishna says, Mayi sarvani karmani sannyasa adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigadajvaraha. Why are you suffering unnecessarily? Why do you feel you are so much burdened? Because you are getting all these frustrations since you are thinking that everything is done because of you, and so you are undergoing a lot of suffering. But then how to get over that? Offer all your actions to me, Lord Krishna says. Fix your mind on the Paramatman. Try to get yourself free from the unsatiated desires and egotism. Then fight free from mental fever. If we analyze thoroughly, we come to know that desire will lead to regret and sorrow sooner or later. We should not think we can have permanent happiness from the world. We should not give way to desire and suffer the consequences. We should be free from the desires. We should be without the sense of I and mine. When we identify ourselves with the inner perceiver, we will have no more my and mine attitude. We should work this, whatever that has come to our lot, without any egotism, identifying ourselves with our real personality. So when the Lord says, Yudhyasva vigata jvaraha, fight, that is, we should carry on our work in the world without fever, without tension. Jvara is the fever we suffer from when we associate ourselves with body, mind and intellect and think that joy can be had from the external world. In anything we do, we are anxious about the result, and this association of ourselves with the result is a cause for our tension. And as a result of that, the quality of work also suffers. So with Vedantic knowledge, we should cure ourselves of this fever and work on without being pulled down by it. We should be upright mentally, morally and intellectually, and work on in the world as Lord Krishna has instructed, offering all our actions to Him, not to be pulled down by the desires anymore. The term Yudhyasva, fight, refers to the battle of life. We are all fighting in one way or other, fighting between good and evil. Life in the world can never be perfect. It is a relative life in which we come in contact with so many things over which we have no control. How can we have peace if we depend on the world? As long as we look into the world for peace, peacelessness is what we get. We should turn within and reach the source of all bliss. If the world teaches us to turn within and become an introvert, the world and life would have served their purpose. So we have come to this world to learn, to educate ourselves. We have come to this world to work for liberation. So this is the path of jnana. So we should have analytical mind and try to analyze the things and arrive at the conclusions, and then try to meditate upon the Paramatman who is residing in our heart. We have to go stage by stage, no doubt. It requires constant vigilance and regular disciplines. Sri Ramakrishna says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, one of the incarnations, to show the people how to love God. If we know how to love God, we get everything. So, There are so many ways we can follow any way, any path we want. But in this Kali Yuga, the path of jnana, path of knowledge is difficult, and path of devotion is easy. Sri Ramakrishna himself has said that. So we reach the same goal. The man who is practicing jnana reaches the goal. The man practicing path of devotion reaches the same goal as that of jnani. So there need not be any conflict. What is needed is that we should undertake spiritual disciplines. Whatever path we may follow, disciplines are very essential. Without disciplines, it is difficult to purify the mind. Unless the mind is purified, we cannot get peace. So all the impurities in the mind must be removed. However difficult it might be. The more we become attached to the things of the world, the more we think unreal to be real, the more difficult it would be to clean the mind. Layers after layers, the impurities have been piled up in the mind. They have become thick rock-like, very difficult to break. Very difficult to break. Probably you may have to use strong dynamite to break the huge rock, So, why should we allow our mind to go into the terrible state and then reverse the process? Why not we become wise when it is not too late? But life is not so easy to understand. People see, but they don't learn. They are attracted by the glamours, and everyone wants to pass through that experience. Let me enjoy, Swamiji. Don't prevent. Let the child enjoy the world. All right? But he is lost in the enjoyment. How many people have really learnt that the world is not giving them any peace of mind? I had been to New York yesterday and the day before. 2-3 days I was there. Today I came back. There one devotee was telling, Swamiji, 12 hours I have to work. Morning 7 o'clock I run, evening 7 o'clock I return. The 7 o'clock the office work starts. He has to be there at the desk at 7 o'clock. That means he has to start from the home much earlier. 6 o'clock he has to start. If he has to start from 6 o'clock, he has to get up early morning. So everything is so much full of tension. And he says, I have no time to do anything else. As soon as I come back, simply I like to lie down. For many people, they take food only one time, dinner, night. Morning there is no time for even eating. Hectic activity. So he was telling, this is the life here. This is the life. Even if I want to do, I will not be able to do that. I was asking him, how long you sit for meditation? How long you are able to think about God? He was hesitating to answer. But finally he said, probably I may sit for 10 or 15 minutes. He is not sure. But even the 10-15 minutes he is sitting there, his mind is partly running outside. It is getting late, get up, like the mind will be telling him. So the conflict comes there, conflict. We don't know how to adjust our worldly life with spiritual ideas. We have lost that adjusting faculty. It is not impossible, but you must have a very strong determination to do that. Otherwise time runs on. Dina jai, ayu jai. Days run by, age also, body is also aging. It doesn't care for anybody. Time runs on. Whether you think of God, whether you don't think of God, it's immaterial. So, the more we become old, the more we are not able to concentrate. And the earlier stages, the more it becomes difficult for us to train the mind at the later stages. That is why Sri Ramakrishna gives clear instructions. Do all activities in the world. We will never say give up the world and run away from the world. We don't say that. We only say think of God, remember God, and then engage yourself in activities. Even this concession, they think it is too difficult for them. It's actually a concession, I should say. Just think, remember Him once and you run to the world. You will be all right. It's a concession actually. But even that we are not able to do. So, lives after lives we have built this way. So mind refuses to think real to be real. It always thinks unreal to be real. So we are always in trouble. That is the samsara. Anyway, it's all right. So Sri Ramakrishna says that whatever path you may follow, the goal of human life is the vision of God. First, the goal must be fixed. That's the first point. Then, choosing the path. Second point. Third, following spiritual disciplines. Sri Ramakrishna says, observe Ekadashi, fortnight once. Observing Ekadashi, you must engage yourself in thinking about God, in praying to Him, engaging yourself in spiritual activities. That is the meaning of, that is the purpose of observing fast. Observing fast, if you go and spend your time in nightclub, what is the use of your observing fast? There should be connection. Then only it has got meaning, otherwise it becomes meaningless. So let us try to follow these things, whatever Sri Ramakrishna has said, and build up our life accordingly. Now I shall read some of the lines in Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel. Page 332. I used to pray to the mother, crying. Sri Ramakrishna said, Mother, if I do not find the devotees, I will surely die. Please bring them to me immediately. In those days, whatever desire arose in my mind would come to pass. I planted a tulsi grove in the Panchavati in order to practice japa and meditation. I wanted very much to fence it around with bamboo sticks. Soon afterwards, a bundle of bamboo sticks and some string were carried by the flood tide of the Ganges right in front of the Panchavati. A temple servant noticed them and joyfully told me. In that state of divine exaltation, I could no longer perform the formal worship. Mother, I said, who will look after me? I haven't the power to take care of myself. I want to listen only to talk about Thee. I want to feed Thee. I want to feed Thy devotees. Tree, I have it at home. Sri Ramakrishna said with a smile, why? M answered, I feel happy when I look at it. After all this is over, this place will be considered very holy. Sri Ramakrishna said smilingly, what kind of holy place? Like Panihati? Almost every year, for some time past, the master had been attending the religious festival at Panihati. It was evening. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the small couch in his room, absorbed in meditation on the Divine Mother. The evening worship in the temples began with the music of gong and conch shell. M was going to spend the night with the master. After a time, Sri Ramakrishna asked M to read from the Bhakti Mala, a book about Vaishnava saints. We shall stop here. Any questions to ask? How to reconcile with our worldly activities and spiritual activities? That is the important problem before us. Any comments to make? It becomes difficult, it becomes easy depending upon our attitude. If you like a thing, it becomes easy. If you dislike, it becomes difficult. So the mind is full of likes and dislikes, raga dvesh. So we are pulled down every moment by raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. So it is increasingly difficult to understand. Attachment is a root cause, so we must know how to reduce that. It's not possible to get over attachment all of a sudden, but by having analytical approach, you will be able to get over that. The lesser the attachment, the lesser the suffering. More the attachment, more the suffering. All the things are because of the mind. We totally identify ourselves with the mind, so we feel hurt if anything happens. But if you try to be as a witness, then you won't feel that kind of suffering. Things may happen, but it won't affect you. But you must be very strong in that attitude. I am the witness. I am behind the mind. I am not the mind itself. It is true, it is very difficult to practice it. But that idea will help us. Or thinking of God, oh God, things are happening this way, please take care of me, protect me. Nothing is in my hands. So by praying that way, naturally you feel relieved of the pressure. You feel if somebody is concerned about you, if somebody takes that responsibility, you feel you are relieved. So that infinite Paramatman, who is residing in our heart, out of infinite grace, he takes the chosen form, in whatever form you are praying and worshipping, that Paramatman tries to help you to free you from suffering. But then again you must learn to surrender yourself. You must have some initial faith in God. Without faith, you can't proceed in the spiritual life. It may be mechanical, or it may be, you may call it as blind, etc., whatever the language you may call. But the spiritual teachers have told, you start with that faith and then you will understand, by the result you will understand what tremendous power it is. So, they inspire us. It is their teachings, it is their life that inspire. That's the way we should handle. Handling of mind is very important point. Handling of mind. First of all, you must take care of the mind, and then you must handle the mind properly. Both the things we are not doing in a way it should be. So, we are passing through sukha and dukkha, pain and pleasure alternately. This moment you are happy, next moment you are unhappy. The point he was telling was that even though he wanted to spend time, he has no time. Because he has to go. Otherwise he will be fired. No job. That is a much worse state. So, no, he was the genuine difficulty. That is true. So, you become slave of the world. You have lost your independence completely. How can you expect peace? Oh, Swami, I must get some peace. I attend so many retreats, but still my mind is in the same way. Yeah, it will be same way. Even if you attend 1,000 retreats, mind will be same. Maybe it may be worse also. Unless you regulate your mind yourself. Retreats and these things, they help you. They guide you. But the effort should be on your side. In spite of all these difficulties, I must think of God. But that particular person was telling, every day he is devoting about 20 minutes, he told, about 20 minutes. I said, that's very good. Thank God you did not say, Swamiji, many days I could not think of God. That you didn't say. To that extent I am very happy. In spite of all these things, As soon as he gets up, after his ablutions, he just meditates for 20 minutes and then he goes. Very good. Then I told, all right, the weekdays you are doing like that, but weekends when it comes, don't sleep away the time. Or tomorrow is Saturday, let me sleep. I used to work 12 hours, let me sleep for 12 hours. Don't do that way. In the weekends, devote more time for spiritual knowledge. That's the way. Otherwise you are lost, completely you will be lost in this world. You are already lost. There is nothing more left. There is nothing more left there. But some people, they think seriously about this and they take on steps. And that particular devotee was telling, so whenever the weekend comes, I don't go anywhere, I will be in the home, like that he was telling. No, that's good. That's how it should be done. But the point is to cut down the time of job, etc., etc. That means you must cut down your desires.
Right.
That
and
means
your financial.
That means you must have developed some kind of satisfaction or contentment. That level should be fixed up. That means to be contented in a moderate way, because there is no end for getting things. There is no satisfaction. Suppose you get $10,000, you may require more. Accordingly, the expenditure also will go up. 50,000, expenditure also rises up accordingly. So the point is, there is no way that way. The more you earn money, the more you will have peace and happiness. No, but that is it's a painful experience, no doubt. Is it not? But then that contentment should be there. Santushto yena kena chit, Bhagavan says in the Gita. Be contented, whatever you have. Do the duties properly, nicely. Don't overdo it. That's the meaning. That means if you are spending overtime work, OT, they do 12 hours. Oh, I will go for another 4 hours more. I get more money. Like that, don't run like that. Somewhere you put a stop. So, you are going that way because you are interested in that. Your mind gets delighted. You want it, so you enjoy it, so you go. You become disgusted only when you get knocks. Only when you are being hit by some bad experience, then only you will turn back. Otherwise you think everything is okay. But sooner or later you will know it is not okay. If you go along the world, the condition will be always like this. You have to turn back to God. With God you go, you are safe. Without God if you go, you are not safe. That's the sum total of what Sri Ramakrishna. Work becomes vehicle to reach God only when your mind is put in some kind of spiritual activity. See, it is very good you have to carry on so many duties in the world, and I understand that. But why should we not say remembering God is also a duty? Why we are giving last priority for that? Sometimes, because if it is last item, sometimes you may not do it at all. So Sri Ramakrishna tells you begin the day with remembering God. And Sri Ramakrishna himself said that you pray to God, O Lord, make my duties fewer and fewer so that I can spend more time in thinking about you. It is true, at one point of time you have to work in a very hectic way. But as I said, overdoing, overacting will not help. And of course we may talk about prosperities or worldly prosperities. So many people are rising. If I keep quiet, I will not prosper. So if we have that in view, alright, how long you go that way? Where is the end for that? Somewhere you have to stop, So what Sri Ramakrishna is telling, spiritual orientation must be given to your activities. Always remember God and do. When When you are at work, even when you are at work, part of the mind may be on thinking about spiritual ideas. And do your duties properly, efficiently. That's the way of doing without any emotions. And when you are free, when you have got more time, then devote more time towards thinking about spiritual ideas. Like that we have to combine both. Doing activity itself is not a karma yoga. Karma yoga becomes yoga only when it is connected with spiritual ideas. Machines also do tremendous work. Computers do tremendous work. Are they all karma yogins? Yeah, that's very good. If doing part-time job takes care of your day-to-day needs and you are not bothered much, that's enough. But if you think, no, I want more, I want to send some money to my auntie, I want some money to my grandmother, grandpa. If you have got so many desires like that, then there is no way. There is no way. No, work is worship is used in another sense.
Yeah, that's very
It means it's not, what he is meant by that way is that people should not be idle. It is rather better to work than sitting idle. Work is a blessing, I should say. There is no doubt about it. But work in a methodic way, systematic way, disciplined way. That is important. Work is worship doesn't mean 24 hours you must work. That is not the meaning of work is worship. Work is worship means do it with full of devotion, as an offering to God, remembering it is God's work, and think it is for the love of God you are doing it, and do it in such a way that you will not become egoistic. They are the good results of karma yoga. If you do that way, then it becomes worship. The results of worship are, you must feel peaceful. You may be doing activity, at the same time you have got tremendous mental peace. That is because the thoughts are not given for, you have to find out the techniques of controlling the mind and putting the mind in proper position. It is not difficult, only you have to think out calmly and step by step you have to do the things. It becomes easy. Meditation and spiritual life. Managram. Yeah, if you have got any doubts, you can come and ask me. As long as you are feeling that you are enjoying without any problem, there is no problem for you at all. That means that situation has not come to you. That's what I am telling. It's a painful retreat. For some people it takes long time for them to realize that this worldly enjoyment doesn't give us really peace of mind. But that state you will not understand it immediately, because the mind is fully under the influence of that enjoyment, and since the person is not aware of the bad effect of that, and he thinks he is all right, but a time will come that will prove to him it is not all right. And by running like this, you are not realizing the truth, but you are still under the influence of allurements. That is called illusion, considering unreal to be real. But Chidananda gives the example of a camel eating the thorny bush. The blood oozes out, but still it enjoys the thorny bush. In the same way, people think they are wonderful, but time will come. See, one person was telling, Swamiji, since 40 years I was so happy. I had no problem in my life. But when the 41st year started, I began to experience very bad, bitter experiences in my life. The life's partner with whom I lived 40 years is now behaving in a way which is disgusting to me. So since 40 years he thought everything was wonderful, excellent. But at the 41 year, he found it is not true. That means it is not real. Even though he was holding since 40 years, it was enjoyed, it was good. It was not good in the sense. But he came to know only at the 41st year. At least now he is telling, I ought to have devoted more time toward my spiritual pursuit. People think worldly prosperity is the only prosperity. And people think we are born here just to enjoy sleeping, drinking, eating and dying. If that is the conception of life, then there is no point to answer at all. But that is not the end of it. Life is a continuous process. It will not stop, even if you want to. It pushes you to take birth. It pushes, it forces you. We are being forced upon, you must know that, by that invisible power. How we are forced upon? By our own actions. Whatever we might have done. Cause and effect. So we are under the wheel of cause and effect. As long as we are under the wheel of cause and effect, we will be in bondage. Maybe you are in wonderful enjoyment, maybe you may be having $200,000 per year, but even then it's a gold chain. Chain is chain. So the very fact the mind is not turning towards God shows that a person is still for enjoyment. Unless that enjoyment is completed, mind will not go back. In fact, Madhur Babu was serving Sri Ramakrishna, very devoted, and most of the time he would come and be with Sri Ramakrishna. And one day he was sitting in the courtyard, and he was just wondering, who is this Sri Ramakrishna? He is just wondering. It so happened Sri Ramakrishna at that time was walking back and forth. He is just looking at him concentratedly. Who is this Sri Ramakrishna? Who is this? Suddenly he saw Divine Mother Kali. Kali herself walking. He was astonished. And Sri Ramakrishna turned back and he saw Lord Shiva. On one side he is seeing him as Shiva. On the opposite side he is seeing him as Mother Kali. What is this? Is it dream or is it real? So he rubbed his eyes. He rubbed and he opened his eyes like that and he began to see like that. Exactly. It continued for 10 minutes. Then he ran. He couldn't control anymore. He ran and caught hold of Sri Ramakrishna's feet. Now Sri Ramakrishna, you can't keep anything secret from me. I know what you are. Like that he made a statement. Now, such a person, after some years, some devotees, they were asking many questions to Sri Ramakrishna. One question was, see, Madhur Babu, he has served you so much. And was this his last birth? Will he be liberated? Mukta hoi jabe? Then Sri Ramakrishna said, no. He will have to go one more birth. Sri Ramakrishna is telling, he will have to go one more birth. Why, Swamiji? Why you are telling like that? He has received so much grace. It's true. He has received all the grace, everything. But still that small desire, that desire for enjoyment is still there in him. That is to be exhausted. That will exhaust in his next life. And Sri Ramakrishna is telling that. So as long as the desire remains in your mind, to that extent, God keeps himself away. That's also out of grace. My child wants to enjoy some fun. Let him enjoy. Suppose your child comes, it is playing with a toy. You will say, let him enjoy with the toy. You don't want to disturb the child. Just same way. If God wants, He can give mukti to everybody at this moment. It's not such a great deal. But to do little effort, to tell you the fact, all this mukti, liberation and realization, all these things come only because of grace, not because of your effort. But then, little effort will make God happy. That's all the point. So, side by side, As you are telling 80 years I used to find delight, you feel so much joyful because you are seeing the result. In the same way you must get joy in doing spiritual sadhana also. In fact, I had seen one engineer in India. I couldn't believe when he said, he's engineer, brilliant. One day he came when I was in Bangalore. Swamiji, I used to sit for meditation and immediately my mind would rise up to a very high level, and I was afraid that I may have to go beyond the body, beyond this realm. So immediately I would open my eyes and come down. Like that he said. Then I told, all right, when you were in that state, what was your feeling? How you would feel that state? Oh, I was very joyful and very peaceful. Then why was you afraid? That fear is there. Fear of the unknown. We don't know what will happen. Nayamatma balahinena labhyaha, Upanishad says. So you have to be very strong. Why should I be fear? We are afraid of death. Do you think that by being afraid of death you can overcome death? Even if you are afraid, you have to leave the body and go. So let me be bold and leave the body. So like that you must train yourself. So he was telling, how could you do that? You said you are engineer and you are civil engineer, you have to go there, there, so many. Yes, of course I am very active from that point of view, but I am very much interested in this spiritual field also, he was telling. So he was telling, I don't know, one day I may renounce all my activity and go away. He is telling like that. And I am not surprised if he goes away like that, because he is enjoying the happiness. You see, both happiness are there. One is happiness coming through worldly attainments, worldly achievements. Here is happiness coming through spiritual sadhanas. Both he is having. Now he can compare and he can decide upon whether to go in for spiritual happiness and give up this, and whether to have both. Both cannot go for a long time. Sailing in two boats is not possible. Yoga and bhoga cannot go together. That's the point. So, as long as the man thinks he is okay, time is very far away. The time has not come for him to think anything about spiritual ideas, etc. Probably he may need some more time to turn back. But some people, they see the thing and learn by observing. Oh, he is doing that. Why he is suffering? Every man is in the same boat. So why should I also suffer in the same manner? No, I will not go that way. Like that some people decide. So finally it comes to individuals. But one thing is certain, as long as you hold on to God, nothing to worry. Even if any problems come, even if some difficulties come, even if some terrible situations come, you will be able to face them because you have got strong faith in God and your foundation is on God Himself, so you are not worried about it. So facing the life, it's really wonderful. People commit suicide. Why? Because they can't face frustration, worries, tensions, disappointments. So all these things terribly damage them. They can't do anything. So they commit suicide because of that. But suppose they are trained with the spiritual ideas, etc. They are not worried. For example, if you take the example of Kunti, the mother of Pandavas, how she suffered from her childhood up to the last. Her whole life was full of difficulties, disappointments, sorrows, humiliations. But she faced everything boldly, courageously. How? Because her devotion to Lord Krishna was thorough, was very strong. So she said she was not afraid of suffering. She said to Krishna, Krishna, if my mind always thinks about you, I am not cared about this suffering. You give me more suffering, it doesn't matter. But let my mind be always upon you. That's how we should. All right, we shall stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and Soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul ascend. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereigns righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.